What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Four Man Blitz. We're trying out a new little system today, so it's going to look different, but we have, I guess, an NFC East podcast today. We have Commanders Chris, Broad Sports, and We Sport, who looks like he's about to die in the bottom right corner. So today we have a topic to talk about. We haven't talked about it yet, but we have the NFL.com power rankings that were released yesterday, and there's some really weird stuff on this. So we're going to start, I think, from the bottom and work our way to the top. Because it's a lot. So at 32 and 31, it's pretty much expected, right? You have Atlanta and you have Chicago, who are the two worst teams in the NFL, right? There's no dispute on that, unless Nico disagrees on that, because Nico says they have a potential good defense.
Even though I would personally flip them. I would have Atlanta at 32 and Chicago at 31.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Chicago sucks. I mean, Atlanta could be like a 3-win team. Chicago could go 0-17. Like, they're bad. I think Chicago's the worst team in the NFL by far. Justin Fields has not looked good in camp so far. Their offensive line still, no. But Atlanta and Chicago are the two worst teams in the NFL. So no one's really shocked on that. So then we go to 30, and you have Jacksonville, which is fine. I think Jacksonville could be decent this year. Like, Jacksonville could win 7 games this year. Yeah. But, I mean, I guess since it's power rankings, you're last going off of what they last did, then I understand them being 30th. Is there any dispute to Jacksonville 30th? No. Okay. Here's where it gets interesting.
Really.
So 29, another AFC South team, the Houston Texans. All right. At 29, we have another AFC South team, the Houston Texans. And I think, again, the Houston Texans could be a little decent this year. Same thing as Jacksonville. They could win 6-7 games. But I understand them 29th. But let's just go ahead and move forward to 28. Because this is great.
Let's let these two take the floor.
So at 28, just a reminder, Detroit, New York Giants, Jets, Seattle hasn't been named yet. At 28, the Washington Commanders. Chris, take the floor.
Well, first off, that would put us in the bottom 5 teams, obviously. I don't think that Washington has a bottom 5 roster anymore. This isn't 2019. We did not go 3-13. We were a 7-10 team last year. I don't understand, like, why are we at the bottom of the rankings? We should definitely be up there towards, like, at least high 20s at least. I don't understand why they put us bottom of the teams. I mean, you can't say the Lions have a better roster. Can't say the Giants have a better roster. The Jets, the Seahawks haven't even been named yet, and the Seahawks could be down there with closer to the Falcons, so I don't understand where they was going with that one. But, it's just power rankings at the end of the day, so we'll see when we get on the field in September.
Nico?
That guy that made the list should just lose his job after that redundant, awful ranking at 26. That's just stupid. I mean, we had 2 straight consecutive seasons of just 7 wins, and the Giants have won like 7 games in the last 2 years. But somehow Washington is below New York. That just doesn't make any sense. I think that Washington, like Chris said, should have been in the high 20s, around like 20, 21. And, I don't know. That's just a horrible, horrible ranking. And we swept the Giants last year. Like, how are they
I don't know.
Let's move to this.
Yeah, I don't know where they were going with that one. I mean, like Dylan was saying, I guess that the power rankings go off of where you left off. But if we're going where we left off, I mean, we definitely were better than the Giants where we left off. And the Giants still haven't became better than us after the offseason. So I don't really understand where they were going with the rankings at all. I don't know who made the list, but whoever made the list was definitely hating on Washington.
All right, so at 27...
27?
With the 27th pick.
Okay. I heard that it was like a loud fan. Okay, I got it. Okay, so at 27 we have the Detroit Lions, who I don't hate them being over Washington over the other teams. Like, I'm not saying that Detroit's better than Washington. I'm just saying over the teams that are ahead of both of them, Detroit makes the most sense to be ahead of Washington over, like, the teams we're about to get to. But Detroit still isn't better than Washington. Maybe they could this year, but I doubt it. So Detroit's just there. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The Giants went up 2 spots. The Giants were originally at 28. Washington was originally at 26. They flipped them, which I don't understand. I don't get it. What is it? The Giants, I think the Giants are a bottom 6 team in the NFL. I don't believe in the Giants. I liked the Giants last year, but they weren't good. They weren't good. And I was just watching Daniel Jones. I was just watching Saquon Barkley. I was just watching the whole Giants offense. And I Giants fans tend to sit here and say that the reason they suck is because of the play calling or the coaching. But you have to understand is with Daniel Jones, he doesn't make the right reads. I sent a clip earlier. It was in the Saints game. His best game of his career, mind you, against the Saints this year when he won an OT. By the way, they were also 0-3 going into that game. Okay, we're good. They were 0-3 going into that game, and he just sucks. I mean, I know he had 400 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. That's great. But if you watch the game, he missed so many open reads. And his deep ball gets so... Remember that stat that all Giants fans loved to pull out last year? That Daniel Jones had the best deep ball in the NFL?
In deep ball? Yeah.
And his deep ball just isn't that good. It's just not. And it's just sad. And then Saquon Barkley, man. The dude has all the talent in the world, but he is such an impatient runner. For all the good qualities he has speed, he has size, he can catch the ball. He is so impatient. He'll have a wide open hole, and this dude will bounce outside to where all the defenders are. It happened so much this year. And it's not because he's hurt. It's because he just goes the wrong way. I don't understand it. I watched this play earlier against the Saints. I think it was 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6. They ran an inside zone to the right. If he bounced it to the left, there was nobody there. He had an easy first down. He bounced it to the right where there was 6 defenders there. And he literally bounced it. He stood still, cut to the right. I don't understand it. The Giants aren't a good team, man. Their secondary is about to get toasted. That's my Giants rant, man. I don't understand them being 26. I don't know how they're a better team than Detroit or Washington. Anyone have anything to say about the Giants other than what I just said?
Obviously, everybody knows I'm not the biggest supporter of the Giants. The Giants are terrible. They're a bottom 5 team. Definitely. I would say the Lions have more potential than them this year. The Jaguars could have more potential than them this year. Trevor Lawrence is balling like I think he will this year. And the Jets have more potential than them this year, which is crazy because, everybody looks at the Jets as the little dogs in New York compared to the Giants. But this year, I really do believe the Jets will be better than the Giants. So I don't see how the Giants made it ahead of Washington.
Yeah, so let's move on. Unless anyone else, Broad, you have anything to say about the Giants?
I mean, I do find it crazy that they're ranked above Washington because, like what you said and what Chris said, they didn't really do anything in the offseason compared to a team like Washington who did trade for Carson Wentz. I do think that Detroit is better than them. I do have the Giants improving a little bit from last year, but they were 4-13, and I think I have them going 6-11 this year, but they're still going to be a top 10 draft pick team.
Yeah, and
I think we can agree on that.
The only point you could make is the Giants did have a very good first round. They got K'Von, they got Evan Neal. Probably the best thing that could happen for the Giants happened in the first round. Yeah. But then their last into the draft, anything past the first round just sucked for the Giants. I mean, I'm sorry.
I think another thing that they're doing is hyping up Brian Dable, however the hell you say it, because he was Josh Allen's offensive coordinator in Buffalo. So they think that the success that he brought in, that he had Josh Allen become, could possibly wear on to Daniel Jones, which I personally don't think.
And
so.
I don't think.
I was going to say, I think that they hyped up their first round a little much. I mean, they made 2 for sure picks. I mean, obviously it was a great first round, but you made the picks that were there. It was so obvious to make those picks. There wasn't no rocket science picks. The rest of the draft was kind of mid. I mean, they reached on a lot of. Wendell Robinson looks like he could be somebody that they picked up talent, but he still was a reach at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean the draft overall was pretty bad for the Giants. Take away the first round, and just overall the offseason they haven't done much to get away from the 4th spot in the division. So 6-11, I agree with Kevin.
and I will say, Josh Allen's given a lot more credit to his quarterback coach, who's now the Bills' offensive coordinator. Now he got promoted, obviously, when Dable left, then Brian Dable. So I think Brian Dable probably had the second or third most effect on Josh Allen, but he definitely was not the reason Josh Allen was a good quarterback last year. And I don't think what you want to do is put Daniel Jones in a Josh Allen system where you make him throw the ball 40 times. That is not what Daniel Jones is good at. It's not the same.
It's not going to work out this way.
So let's go to 25. At 25 is the New York Jets, who I actually think are going to be pretty decent this year. I could see 7 to 8 wins. Zach Wilson, if he takes a step forward, they had a very good offseason, in my opinion. Some very sneakily good pickups. Obviously, Mekhi Becton yesterday is announced out for the season, which is a big loss because when Mekhi Becton's on the field, he's a very good left tackle. So it's very sad that he's out. But the Jets still have a good roster. If Zach Wilson takes a step forward, Garrett Wilson could be an absolute elite wide receiver in the NFL. They obviously got Breece Hall, who I was a big fan of coming out of college. They still have Michael Carter. They have some big, talented pieces. Sauce Gardner as well. So, Broad, what do you think about the outlook of the Jets this coming year?
I mean, the Jets, this is what they've been doing ever since their last AFC Championship game appearance in 2010. They've been slowly building up pieces, but I explained this last year. The problem is all their franchise quarterbacks are on a rotating clock where they keep drafting guys and then they end up not working out. Mark Sanchez worked the first 2 years and then slowly panned out. Geno Smith just panned out from day one. He was not that good. Sam Darnold, not entirely his fault, but he didn't work in New York either. And Zach Wilson, I mean, he's been okay. We can all say that. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been good either. But only time will tell with him.
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to move on real quick to 24. We just have a lot of teams left. 24, which is weird. I don't understand them here because I feel like they're a bottom 5 team in the NFL, along with the Giants, Atlanta, Chicago.
Probably bottom 3.
Seattle Seahawks are 24. I don't understand it.
Really?
Like, you have the only appealing thing about Seattle is you have DK and Tyler, and you have Kenneth Walker and Rashad Penny. They have Noah Fant now at tight end. My fault. I almost said they don't have a tight end. They have a tight end. Their offensive line's garbage. They got
and their
Charles.
safeties are good, but the rest of their secondary sucks.
Their safeties are okay. You got Quandre Diggs, who is even healthy.
I believe so, but then you also have, in my opinion, the most overrated safety in the NFL, Jamal Adams.
I don't think no one overrates Jamal Adams anymore. No one calls him top 5. I haven't even seen somebody call him top 10 in like a minute. But obviously, the most important position on the football field, they have Geno Smith or Drew Lock. Come on, man. And Pete Carroll was loving Drew Lock, saying that Drew Lock would have been the best quarterback in this draft, which, I mean, he wouldn't have been. I don't think so. But also, if you're Seattle, like, why do you pass on Malik or Desmond or even Howe? Why do you pass on them so many times? Like, do you really think Drew Lock's that? Like, because Drew Lock had a decent offensive line that you can hate on his coaching if you want in Denver, but had good weapons in Denver and a decent defense and couldn't do anything. He was horrible in Denver. So what makes you think he's going to perform with a horrible offensive line? Now, they maybe, okay, I could understand this ranking, and maybe they wouldn't get Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe this ranking would make a little more sense. But Drew Lock and Geno Smith, I think they're backup quarterbacks, and one of them's going to start. Probably both of them are going to start sometime this year. I think Drew Lock's going to be the starter, or Geno's going to be the starter, and one of them's going to be flipped, because they're both going to suck. Geno's okay. I mean, it's...
This situation, and Nico, you can tell me this since you're a Buckeyes fan. This situation kind of feels like 2015 Ohio State between Barrett and Cardell Jones, where you're like, which one do you start? Like, I could see it where it's like every other game. Like, Locke starts, then Smith starts, then Locke starts, then Smith.
I mean, if you're tanking, though, and you're just, like, I guess, like, not trying to put yourself in the position of winning and you want to go get, like, you know, Bryce Young or Stroud in next year's draft, and honestly, then start Drew Lock. You're going to get your solid 3 games out of him where he'll play good, and You might win 2 of them. I don't know. I just think that Seattle just should tank this year. So
I'm starting Geno if I'm wanting
I
to lose
think
games.
they're taking that strategy
no,
of tanking, and then they'll try to
Geno's
get a
not.
guy
Geno's
like,
a little
No,
bit.
because Geno is he has a higher floor than Drew Lock, but the ceiling is, if Drew Lock starts and he gets into a rhythm, then he's going to win you games. Because he has the talent. He has a big arm. Geno Smith just has a lower ceiling, so where either way, you're probably going to win 5-6 games. But if Drew Lock gets into some sort of rhythm with DK, then you could win 7-8 games, and then you're out of the top 7 picks when Bryce and CJ are probably going to be gone. So I'm starting Drew Lock. I'm starting Geno. I think Geno's floor is
Does
Geno's ceiling's way higher.
Seattle have their first round pick this year? Or was that
think
still
so,
part of the Jamal Adams? Or is the Jamal Adams shit done?
No. This is
I think the Jamal Adams trade. I think the Jamal Adams stuff ended this
Okay,
year.
Yeah.
I didn't know how many years they got him from.
Let's move on to 23. Again, we got to kind of hurry this up. We're already 15 minutes in. We're about 12 teams in. 23, Carolina Panthers. They're not better than Washington. They're mediocre. Their whole roster is pretty much mediocre. Their defense is fine. They have some decent players. I like J.C. Horn. He's getting a little bit overrated by the media, I think, right now, saying that he's going to have some comeback player of the year type of year. I like him, but I'm not super high on J.C. I think he'll be a decent corner. They have some playmakers on defense. I don't think Baker is going to be good in this offense. This is not an offense for Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold sucks. And Matt Corral's been good in camp, though. I'll say that. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, if CMC stays healthy, they'll win games. But that's it. Let's move on. 22, Cleveland Browns. I'm guessing this is obviously if Deshaun's out for the year. Baker?
I would agree.
They don't really talk about Deshaun a lot in this. They actually talk about how he's suspended for 6 games, but they brought up Kareem Hunt to start it, which is weird. I don't feel like Kareem Hunt leaving really has a big impact on Cleveland. I don't. Because he's their backup. He has a lot of touches, but he's their backup. So I'm not really high on them. So then at 21, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I personally think are going to be really bad this year. I think they're going to win like 6-7 games. I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to pull something out of it where he gets a winning season. Their roster's just bad. Their secondary's bad. Their D-line is good sack-wise, but they don't create enough, or they get pressure, but they don't stop the run well at all, other than Cameron Hayward.
Not really, no.
They lost Stephon Tuitt. Their offensive line's horrible. They added nobody on the offensive line, which I don't understand.
Yeah. Tuitt retired. Marquise Pouncey retired.
And
so it's going to be.
I don't
Pittsburgh.
understand it if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, because you sit there and you draft George Pickens when you already had Deontay and Claypool, which you didn't need Pickens, but Pickens should be a really good player. So I'm that okay. He's there, take best available. I get that. But then you take Calvin Austin. I'd rather reach on an offensive lineman if you're Pittsburgh and taking Calvin Austin. Because you're taking a special teamer at this point in the 3rd round. Like, in some teams he'd be a starter, but he's a special teamer because he's your wide receiver 4. Like, why? I still don't understand that. Again, we're going to move on. At 20, we have Minnesota Vikings. That's fair. That's fine with me. I don't think they should move up. I'm going to wait. I'm just keep on going until we see something kind of controversial. At 19, Miami. I think Minnesota's better than Miami. Because I think Kirk Cousins is miles better than Tua Tagovailoa. Whatever.
Tagovailoa.
Thank you, Broad Sports.
They're 2 below.
But I think Miami's going to be pretty mediocre this year, just like last year. Okay. At 18, we have the New England Patriots. Did Nico just die?
Drop my phone.
Okay. At 18 with the New England Patriots. Broad, do you think 18 is a fair spot for the New England Patriots? Do you think that's even?
I think it's fair, honestly, because, I mean, they lost J.C. Jackson, so they lost a big part of their secondary, because now I believe their corner 1 is Jalen Mills. Judon didn't really perform well last year when they signed him. Aguilar was okay. I mean, Jacoby Myers is a bright spot in that young defense. Same with Hunter Henry. But I think it's a fair spot.
Did you say Matthew Judon didn't perform well last year?
He was... I mean, everyone hyped him up as if he was going to be the savior of the New England defense, which
he did play.
He was
for
good,
the first,
but not that.
For like the first 8 weeks, he played really good. Like I will give him that. I think he had like a sack every week. And yes, the starting corner is Jalen Mills.
He played really good, and then kind of just went downhill from there.
Starting corners for the New England Patriots is Jalen Mills at 1, Terrence Mitchell at 2, Jonathan Jones at the backup, and then Malcolm Butler also re-signed with the Patriots after retiring for a year because no one wants to play with the Cardinals. So
I would probably flip. I would put Minnesota where New England is, keep the Dolphins, and then put Patriots back at 20. Just because, free agency plus their draft was horrible. They did nothing in the offseason.
I wouldn't, just because with the new Vikings GM and coach, I'm way more unsure. I know the Patriots are going to have a good defense. The Patriots are going to be in games. They're going to win 7 to 8 games. It's Patriots. I can't move them below the Vikings with the new coach. Okay, 17 Arizona Cardinals. After being a really good team last year at 17, Chris, what do you think about the Arizona Cardinals at 17?
Man, it seems pretty real, but I'm pretty sure the teams ahead of them probably competed better. I mean, they lost. They're not gonna have DeAndre Hopkins for the first six games, I believe. It's gonna be tough without DeAndre Hopkins, and I mean, they just didn't do well in the playoffs. So, I mean, you can do it all you want in the regular season, but if you ain't gonna play it how you was playing in the playoffs, it's really not. It depends on who's ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's slight rant. So it's 16 with the Tennessee Titans, which is so stupid, dude. And let me explain why I think it's stupid. It's more stupid because the evaluation that they set of them. Now, number one, the Titans got, in my opinion, better overall in this offseason. They did. All right? They got as a better overall team in the offseason. But here's what's annoying me. Is Titans reporters have been bashing this report because something they said. Treylon Burks, according to this guy, has been running with exclusively second and third team offenses and running the wrong routes, which multiple Titans reporters have said is false. He's running with first, second, and third team and doing punt returns because they want him to get everything, and he hasn't ran the wrong route. That's just wrong. The dude, and apparently Buck Rising, a big reporter for the Titans, works with A to Z Sports, who goes to every single camp, has not seen this guy who made this report at camp once. So he's saying Treylon Burks is running with the second and third team and making mental errors, but the dude hasn't been at camp once. I don't understand it. Now you're just talking because the Treylon Burks hate is crazy. Titans are going to win 11 games this year. Whatever. We're moving on. At 15, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Broad Sports, do you think that's fair for Philadelphia?
Yeah, I do. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, you could possibly move them down one or two spots, 16 or 17, but with all the additions that they added over offense with A.J. Brown, Cam Jurgens, who Jason Kelce handpicked to be his successor in Philly when he retires, and then also the defensive side of the ball, adding Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, James Bradbury, Hassan Reddick. I think it's fair to put him at 15.
Okay. And I did remember seeing a Cam Jurgens play get destroyed by Jordan Davis 2 days ago.
Oh, Jordan Davis. I mean, he put Jason Kelce on.
Was that? I thought it was Cam Jurgens.
That dude is going to be.
I'm pretty sure.
No, that was Jason
I thought
Kelce.
it was Jurgens. Yeah, I thought it was Jurgens.
It was Jurgens?
Yeah.
Oh. It
And
was
Jason
like
Kelce
but
got
either way,
pushed off like that. That'd be crazy. Okay, at 14 we have Dallas, which Dallas is going to have a decline this
Surprise
year. It's not really offensively. I think their defense is so hit or miss with them because they have 2 playmakers. I mean, they may have 3 if you want to count DeMarcus Lawrence. They have 2 playmakers in Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. But their offense is going to be fine. But their defense is just so, if you play into it, if you let Micah go crazy, then it's going to be good. Trayvon just isn't. He lets up a ton of yards but gets picks, so it's kind of a hit or miss. You're going to get torched some weeks, you're going to have a good defense other weeks. That's fine, I guess. 13, New Orleans. That's weird. Nico, what do you think about New Orleans at 13?
I don't think that's a terrible ranking for New Orleans. I mean, we saw that when they had Winston. I mean, Winston in those, how many games he played? 6 or 7 before he tore his Achilles or ACL. He was playing pretty mediocre. I mean, their roster is very talented. I mean, on the offensive side. Defensively, I'm not too familiar with who's on their defense. I know that they have Lattimore and Demario Davis and whatnot. And I think
Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what Tyrann Mathieu can do for a defense as a leadership kind of guy, and he could easily change that defense around. So, I think 13 is a good spot for him.
I think the Saints are the most overrated team in the NFL. I'm not going to lie to you. I think they're decent, but I think they're a 9-win team, man. I don't see this Saints hype. I love Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is a stud. But defensively, this is being talked about as one of the best units in the NFL. And they have good players, no doubt. But their defensive line's a big question mark because Cameron Jordan is old. Marcus Davenport is decent, but he's not a star. Let's not act like he is. And let's go. I mean, they have a good linebacker. Demario Davis is a stud. All right.
Isn't he old too?
Demario Davis was great last year.
There's
So
a line question mark. Man,
who's on their defensive line? That's a star right now. That's a star right now.
Cameron Jordan just came off of a 12 and a half sack season and 59 combined tackles. I mean, he didn't have a bad year.
Let's not act like Cameron Jordan is still a star right now. Cameron Jordan's good, but he's not. If
this is crazy.
I gotta say, they don't have a lot of stars on their defensive line, but they all play together really well, complement each other well, and they play together, work as a on the defensive line. They're a really good unit, defensive line. They drafted a guy first round last year, I believe.
Out of Houston, I know who you're talking about. He's huge. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's still.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Saints are a good team, but I do think that Dallas and Philly are both better than the Saints.
No.
And again, and I want to get to my final point about, well, not the final point about the Saints, but more about if you look at their secondary. Now, they have two good. Marcus May is a good player. Tyrann Mathieu is very good. He's not like top 3 like some people like to say he is, but he's very good. He's a very good safety. But when you go to corners, you have Marshawn Lattimore. And who else?
Paulson Adebo. They picked up the dude from the Texans. Roby's pretty nice. Paulson Adebo's pretty nice up and coming or young corner.
They're fine. They're fine.
9 games last year.
What about CJ?
CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he's a pure slot. I'm more talking outside.
Thing, though, like, we're talking about a team that won 9 games last year without Michael Thomas, without Jameis Winston. We're adding that. The only question mark for the Saints is how is their new coach going to do? He's a defensive guy. The Saints defense is always going to be nice. But the thing is, how is the new offensive guy going to take control with Sean? Because I know Sean Payton
Yeah,
because that's what.
Here's another point that I was getting to with why I think Philly and Dallas are better teams. It's because of the new coach, Dennis Allen. Like you said, he is a defensive-oriented guy. If this was still Sean Payton, I would say, okay, this is fair. But since we haven't seen Dennis Allen, I don't know how, in my opinion, that New Orleans can be ranked ahead of both Dallas and Philly.
I agree.
Okay, but New Orleans has I would say more of a talented roster as of right now than Dallas. If we're going top to bottom.
But, I mean, at the same time, again, you have to look at it. Okay, there's this is my 2 big glaring issues with Saints defense. Or the Saints as a team. Number 1, Sean Payton was an elite head coach, and you just lost him. When was the last time a rookie head coach did 11, 10, 12 wins?
Look,
Wasn't it Doug Peterson?
No, he was 7-9 his first year.
Secondly, okay.
Like,
the year we won the Super Bowl was the second year.
I really believe if Sean Payton was still on this team, this is a for sure 11, 12 wins. I think they 10 wins.
I agree.
How it is, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think another thing, the second biggest issue, is you lost an all-pro left tackle and replaced him with Trevor Penning. Like, that's a big loss. Because Jameis Winston, to be fair, Jameis Winston just came off an ACL tear. And your starting left tackle has literally thrown guys into his quarterback's knees.
He's gonna bring that aggression, but hopefully he just don't throw it into Jameis Winston. He keeps it on the other side.
If he pulls a Senior Bowl again, Jameis Winston's out for the season. Like that scares me. Okay, number 12, Indianapolis. Okay, go ahead. Number 12 is.
We'll let the Titans fans think.
Yeah, number 12 is Indianapolis. They're gonna be decent. I think they'll miss the playoffs. I really do. I don't think they're going to beat us in the division. We swept them last year, to be fair. I don't think they're going to. I think we'll split with them. I don't think they win the division, and I don't think they're good enough to beat out the AFC West teams for the playoffs. That's how I feel about it. In our division, I feel like we're both just good enough to win the division. I don't think either the Titans or the Colts are really good enough to beat out the Chargers or the Chiefs for a wild card spot. Their defense looks good. I don't think Matt Ryan's as high as people think. I don't think Matt Ryan's as good as people say he is right now. I think he's still a decent quarterback. I think he's about Carson Wentz level right now, around there. I'm sorry to break it to you. Matt Ryan is just not that good. He's decent,
Wouldn't
but
be
he's
talking
average.
this
Above
crazy
average.
about Matt Ryan if he wasn't on the Colts. That's all I'm gonna say.
I said Matt Ryan was I said Matt Ryan was slightly better than Carson Wentz last year. So I don't think it's a crazy take. And my whole point is how big. I mean, you added almost no weapons in the offseason. You added Alec Pierce, who's a pure non-separation jump ball guy. Then you added, defensively, you got some good pieces. You got Stephon Gilmore. I think they added somebody else in the defense as well. But I don't think the Colts are going to be that good this year.
Yannick Ngakoue.
What's up?
They added.
I mean, you
Yannick
still got Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore is decent.
They add all-
Oh yeah, not Yannick Ngakoue. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking.
Speaking of Kenny Moore, did you guys see David Carr's top 10 corners? He had Kenny Moore at 6.
Okay,
I mean,
moving on. Nah, man. But anyway, final.
That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy, to be honest. The Colts are a little high. I think they can make the playoffs and they could win their division, but they probably won't. But I think I wouldn't rank them over.
Yeah, I think that's a bit crazy.
Yeah, I probably would have ranked the Colts closer to like 17.
And Nico's gone. So at number 11, we're going to kind of speed through this. We only got like 10 minutes left. So at number 11, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, which is fine, I guess. I think, I don't know. I definitely don't feel like. Sorry, my bad. I was looking at a text. Okay, I don't feel like the Raiders are going to be like top tier AFC this year. I see them more as like a wild card team, like a 10-11 win team. I don't think the people who are saying they're going to win 13, 14 games is accurate. I don't think Derek Carr is to that level that he needs to be to beat Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. He's right below it. He's kind of in that not Kyler Murray, like slightly below Kyler Murray. Like Kyler Murray has a talent, I think, to win you those games. I don't think Derek Carr does. He's still a decent quarterback, though. And then we're going to move on from the Raiders.
No, he's in that like Lamar, Dak.
No, I'm taking Lamar
kinda
over
tier.
Derek Carr like
Oh, yeah.
every day of the week.
Well, I agree. I'm just saying, like, those are guys that, like, a lot of people debate between, like, 10 to 13. It's usually those 4 guys that you
agree.
debate.
So, and then we're going to move on. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, number 10 is the Baltimore Ravens. This is weird. They had a good draft, even though Kyle Hamilton's been rough, but I like Kyle Hamilton. I also love Tyler Linderbaum. But their weapons are still really iffy. You have Rashad Bateman, who I loved, coming out of college, and you have Mark Andrews, who's a really good tight end. And then after that, you have Devin Duvernay as your next wide receiver. So that's obviously an issue.
Yeah. And then they drafted 2 tight ends, which I found
Really weird. It seems like they're definitely going to go back to that 2019 offense, run. Because, they didn't pass at all in 2019. Other than Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
So, I like Tyler Linderbaum. J.K. Dobbins is back. I don't think their defense is elite anymore. It's still good, though. Because in the past, like 2019, Baltimore's defense was, like, elite. But obviously, they lost Earl Thomas. I don't think they've really ever replaced Earl Thomas. No. They did get a safety. Didn't they get a... They got a safety this year, didn't they?
Hamilton.
Oh, that's right. Not who I was thinking of. I don't know why I thought...
I think they filled his role with Chuck Clark, who was a
Yeah, no, I was thinking...
Probably.
The
He
sheer
is the
effort,
guy
no,
who
he's
he
on
did punch in training
It was
camp,
some
and
Edward
that's what
dude.
Why?
That's
Wait, who
what
did
ended
Marcus
up,
Williams sign
the
with?
the Raven.
He signed with the
So
Ravens.
I am right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he did something with the Ravens. Okay, that's what I was thinking of. So that's kind of a
Yeah.
good replacement because I think since they lost Earl Thomas, they haven't really had that elite safety back. Moving on, number 9, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'd move them up. I love Justin Herbert. Their defense is insane this year. They have elite. They have Derwin James, who's a top 3 safety. They have J.C. Jackson, who's a pretty good corner. He's a little overrated, but he's a pretty good corner. They have Asante Samuel Jr., who was really good last year when he played. They have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, which is ridiculous. They also added a defensive tackle from the Rams last year who was very good. Not very good, but good. And then offensively, you still have a good offensive line. You have Justin Herbert, who's top 5. You have Austin Eckler. You also got Isaiah Spiller, a backup running back who should be good. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You just have weapons. Does anyone think Chargers are fine, or does anyone want them up or down? What do you guys think about the Chargers?
They're fine. I just think this year, out of all the years,
Yeah,
there's really no excuse
I
for them
think
to
they
not
have
make
a
the
really
playoffs.
great roster on paper, but they just they still have a lot to prove. I mean, they have.
Yeah. What
Okay,
Chris said.
and then we're going to kind of speed through this. We're going quick. Okay, number 8, Denver Broncos. I think the Chargers are a better team than them. I think the Broncos defense is really iffy this year. It's ranked super high, but I like Patrick Surtain. But other than that, you still have Justin Simmons, but your defense just is a little iffy. Bradley Chubb's good when he's on the field. Number 7, KC, that's fine. Your roster's a little depleted, but you still have Patrick Mahomes, so okay. Number 6, Green Bay, lost a ton of wide receivers. They're probably moving down to like 8. I still think they're going to be really good, but the wide receivers are definitely a big question mark. The defense should be elite this year, though. 5, the Bengals, that's fine with me. Their offensive line got really good this offseason, or pretty good this offseason. Their defense should still be pretty good, and they're still good weapons-wise, so okay. Number 4, San Francisco. No. I like Trey Lance, but you can't have him top 4. Right? Chris, are you agreeing or disagreeing with me? I can't tell.
Oh, I'm agreeing, man. I don't know why the 49ers are that high on the list, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they have so much to prove. Trey Lance hasn't done anything really yet. I don't know, but I mean, I do like their potential as a team. Like, quarterback on his best day.
I agree. And then number 3, Tampa. That's fine. I mean, their offensive line's kind of going to be a question mark without Jensen, and his backup got injured today. I don't remember his name. I'm pulling a broad just saying his backup. Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady he's still elite, but and then you signed Julio, which he's going to be decent this year. I don't think he's going to be like back to prime Julio or anything. I don't think he's going to pull Randy Moss. He's not going to pull the Randy Moss because Randy Moss, when he went to New England, was still in damn near in his prime. He wasn't injury prone. Number 2, you have the Rams. That's fair. They lost a lot this year, but I like Allen Robinson. Bobby Wagner has lost a few steps in his speed, but he's still a good linebacker. Not elite like he used to be, but he's still good. And then number 1, Buffalo, probably the best overall roster in the NFL. You have good pieces everywhere. You have a good secondary with you have obviously Tre'Davious White who's coming back from injury. You have Kyrie Lamb, who's the corner out of Florida. You also have probably the best safety duo in the NFL. Your pass rush is a big question mark for me because I like Von Miller, but he's not an every down pass rusher at the stage of his career. He's not, Denver Von Miller. I think he's more of a third down pass rusher at this point, so it's going to be interesting how that goes. But they always have a good defense. Offensive line-wise, they're going to be decent, not elite. They never really are. Josh Allen's obviously a stud. I don't love the thought of Gabriel Davis as your number 2. I haven't seen enough of him yet. I know his playoff game was really good, but he just hasn't. I mean, he got out-targeted by Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders last year. That's kind of a red flag for me because if he was so good, then I felt like he would have got more targets in that offense. 7 is a stud. Their running backs are really questioning. I think James Cook should be good. But we have 3.5 minutes.
Well, I know that Von Miller's trying to recruit OBJ to Buffalo.
Even if he
I do
he's
know
not going to
that.
play for like week 7. So, I mean...
It don't matter, dude.
That's true.
So, Nico, what do you think about Buffalo, dude?
I mean, they might pick to come out of the AFC. I'm gonna roll with them again to come out of the AFC this year because I think that overall, like you said, all around that their rosters that they have the best all around roster. If we're looking at an adding guy like Odell Beckham, if added, I mean, it would just make them even more lethal on offense than ever. I think this season, not saying that they should establish the run game because that's not how their offense is built around, but I think if they had a consistent run game, I think their offense would just be absolutely scary to anyone that faces them. And, yeah.
And I know I've talked a lot this episode, but I'm going to say one more point. This is going to be a hot take. I feel like Buffalo, this has to be their year. I feel like if Buffalo doesn't win this year, they may not win. And I hate to say that, and I know you're like, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is you don't win in the NFL right now paying a quarterback top 5 money. No team that has won a Super Bowl recently won a Super Bowl winning top 5 money, and Allen's contract's about to kick in. When that happens, your team's just going to get worse and worse and worse. You see it with the Chiefs. When the Chiefs won a ring, that roster was stacked. Now look at their roster. And they don't have the money because, Mahomes getting a ton. So I think that's where it gets interesting is that now you have this, when Allen's on his rookie contract, you have the money to go get Vaughn. You have the money to go get OBJ possibly. You have the money to go get these guys. Now, once Allen's contract kicks in, man, you're not going to have the money to go get these big free agents. You're just not going to have it. Unless they're going to take super team-friendly deals.
I have a question. Say, for instance, that down the line in the playoffs, if we're looking at it, if Kansas City matches up with Buffalo, is that Buffalo's game to basically lose?
Buffalo's going to win the Super Bowl.
Buffalo has to win that. But I mean, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to keep them in the game. And I think Josh Allen had a great game last year against KC, but their defense has to step up. And
they didn't have Trey White last year, but I mean that doesn't really make any difference.
I mean, Trey White didn't let. I mean, I don't think Trey White's stopping that score in 13 seconds. It's just that simple.
Maybe this year they'll lose in 10 seconds. You know?
Yeah, we'll wait for it. Anyway, that would be the end of this episode. We will catch you guys next time talking about more NFC teams.